welcome to our stream on creating a suggestion box with Microsoft Forms. It's part of our overall series on business process automation and some of the tools you have. Last week, we talked a little bit about some of the little pieces that are really some of the kind of concepts behind business process automation and how it really kind of has this big overview, big kind of sounds like a really complex thing, but the reality is we use it all the time. We have some really great examples, and it's really a great way to find awesome little efficiencies inside your operation. So before we get started, thank you for all our regular viewers. We're definitely out there. We get some great comments and likes and feeds. We're on YouTube. We do this live. Just who we are. We're Valiant Technology. We're an IT service provider here in New York City, but we work all over the U.S. And we have a great back catalog of these streams together that has some super useful content that'll help you kind of run your business better. So before we get started, we have our little segment we call Quick Tips with Megan. So Megan, take it away.
Sure. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to do sort of a business refresher, or like a video call etiquette refresher and ergonomic refresher. So starting off, remember posture when you're in meetings, even over Zoom. It's really important. It's amazing. Clients I have met with who maybe only the top of their head is you can see it. So that's a big tip. Also, even having good posture sort of helps the way you present yourself, even over the phone. Sometimes I help with the tech overflow at Valiant, the overflow calls. And if my feet are on the ground and I'm smiling, I can feel the customer respond better to me. And I know I'm responding better to them.
That's right.
Yeah. And then this one is interesting because I talked to Marianne about this, and the position of where you put your video call window when you're having meetings actually dictates where your eyes look. So I didn't really realize that, but Matt suggested if you have a Teams call and you see the title of the Teams call, if you put it right under the camera, it's more like you're looking into someone's eyes. And we had a whole discussion about this where
Yep.
We've been robbed of that for the last year. I think, George, you said there was one that worked so well that you were surprised by just.
Oh yeah, Justin, who's I know we were working together for so many years that we were at a meeting and we kind of looked at each other over the camera. We knew exactly we were like our eyes locked in the ether, and we knew where we were because it was because you kind of feel I don't know, it's a strange thing, and even if we there's no way we possibly could have. But it actually had the same emotional feeling of reaching across the table, like, oh man, that's nuts. I gotta make that statement. But
no, we're social creatures, and I think we are wired to react really strongly to that. And I do think there has been some, I don't want to say suffering, but there's a lack of connection with the video calls that if you can simulate the eye contact, I think it can be very powerful. So it's good to know.
Absolutely.
And then just basic etiquette, take the cues from the meeting you're in. If you have a meeting and 2 people have just turned off their cameras, but 4 or 5 people, their cameras are on, sort of take the cue, turn on your camera. I think it makes everyone feel more engaged. Yeah. You wouldn't, hold up a cardboard box over your face in a real meeting. So why? And then, if it's a big all staff meeting, mute that. And you're not the one presenting, mute yourself. It's incredible what can get interrupted when someone doesn't know it. So,
yeah, it's actually true. I was just saying, especially if you have a clacky keyboard, like I know some people at Valiant does, myself included, it interrupts Gene. It interrupts the entire. I have one too now, so I have to be very careful as I start typing in meetings. So it gets really loud. So you got to be very thoughtful about that sort of thing.
Exactly. And so this quick tip it's just to serve as a reminder for all those things. Just ask yourself, we have all done it. So like no shame here, but just ask yourself, what could I do better? What are ways I can take care of other people in meetings when I'm in them? That's my quick tip today.
And there's one other you had on there. I think it's important. Don't take meetings in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For your own mental health and everyone else's just perception of you, I think it's important not to take meetings in bed.
And go back to the posture. It's impossible to have good posture in bed.
Exactly. It's a comfortable place.
And
so
I think that the posture also helps with speech to a point. Well, right? I couldn't get the word out right. Like I remember chorus class,
You need to fix your posture.
in middle school. Having the proper posture is going to allow you to use your diaphragm properly to get sound out. You don't want to be talking like this. You want to have your voice projected so people can hear what you're saying. You don't want to come off as you're mumbling. I mean, I'm not in a room with you. You're mumbling. You're not making eye contact. I'm not having a conversation with you.
It's very disconnected.
Yeah, it's sort of the trick of if you smile, you actually end up feeling happier. Like the behavior addresses your psychology. If you've got good posture, you're probably going to be more productive and a little more confident.
Yeah,
exactly. Awesome.
One last quick tip: chocolate on the desk. That always makes me happy.
Chocolate on the desk.
Yes, it could help.
We talked about on the desk in the last quick tip. So
exactly. Okay, keeping it moving along. So we have a new. Stefan's our very loyal viewer, follower, commentator, but he's done a great job the past couple weeks of being on our live streams. We wanted and just kind of happenstance. Stefan's a big automation user in a way that was really important. So, Stefan, why don't you take us through the Stefan's pick?
Well, thank you for that intro, Matthew. Thanks, George. Yeah, no. So I chimed in last week and gave in the comments one of my favorite new automation tools called TextExpander, and it's I guess best way to explain it. It's a software or a desktop app that runs sort of always in the background when you have it open, and for all intents and purposes, it takes those repetitive tasks of typing certain snippets of text or sometimes paragraphs of text, and you can shorten it into an abbreviated code that you can type into your keyboard, and it sort of autofills for you. And I am going to share my screen really quickly with you guys.
Cool.
And show you some examples that I put together. So you let me know, or you guys see my screen?
There we go.
Yep, there it is.
All right, good. So this here is the TextExpander tool, and basically you can have your folders here where you can have different things that you work on. So I created a little demo folder here, and in here are my shortcuts. So I am going to go over here. So again, you can do this. I have a Word document open as an example, but it can be in your Outlook, it can be in your Gmail, it can be in other software programs that you use on a regular basis. So I created a little snippet shortcut there. So
I was wondering why there's a box one in there.
Yeah, there you go. So now you know. And again, just to give you an example, so if you come over here, we're going to create a new snippet, and we can just call it test. And we're going to come down here and call it test, and then you abbreviate it however you want. In this case, we'll call it D test, and we'll save it. Come back D test, and then all of a sudden. So it does save a lot of time. And again, just to give you some better examples, if you continually talk to people on the phone, giving sales pitches and things like that. So there's a little sample I created here for a follow-up. So basically, I leave some of the fields here that I want to customize. So personalize someone's name, their company. In this case here, some pain points that were discussed in the meeting. And then some details as far as follow-up. So again, this is an example of a longer snippet. But then again, I use things just like this a lot, at the end of my emails when I'm talking to people. Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not appropriate. Sometimes I just do something like this if you have any additional questions. So again, I correspond with a lot of clients, a lot of vendors here at Valiant. So a lot of these things help. The product is very, very robust. I won't get into it here. It's sort of a very deep dive, but you can create fill-in So basically, your shortcut will pull up a document that autofills and then has drop-down menus for you to choose from, things like that, which are really good. And one of the last things I'll just touch on here, that TextExpander is, while it runs in the background on your computer as an app or software, it also has a website, and that's where all of your shortcuts are stored. So you can, once you set up your account, you can utilize this on your Mac, on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Windows desktop as well. So wherever you're logged in, these shortcuts sort of follow you around. And another neat thing I found today while I was doing some research this morning for this segment was they have a library of contributors at the website that you can subscribe to. And you can see them down here under the TextExpander logo. So there were some things here like someone created foreign thanks. So if we come up here and we do Japan thanks. Oh, if I spelt it right. We'll do that over again.
We'll fix it in post.
So if you are corresponding with people.
That's really cool.
This one for George. So
thank you. I appreciate that. It's great.
And so it really has a slew of things in there. One of the other neat things I saw, if you saw on my list there, was airport codes. If you travel a bit, you know that every airport in the world has a 3-letter code. And so, you know, if you are traveling somewhere and you might have a layover and you're like, gosh, I don't know where that is. So they created this. So CHA is Chattanooga. We'll do ZLAX, which is Los Angeles, most people know. So, and again, once you log into their website, the contributor contribution lists that they have are fascinating. So,
very cool.
Yeah, so it saves a lot of time. Again, everything from simply a shortcut for your email address to 3 paragraphs of sales follow-up. And again, really important, if you do work in an organization where there's a value to share these items, you can have a company folder that is shared amongst your coworkers.
So like scripts and like
consistent.
Or family if it's a
that's
personal
really cool.
use.
It's very cool. That's a great.
Actually, I have a question. I noticed. I mean, you're talking about adding them to email, but you're doing it in Word. So because it's an application on your computer, you can use it on a lot of different applications. You know, whatever.
So I found it to work pretty much every single application that I use on my computer. And again, not to get too technical, where I do have where it's not working for me is if I'm logged into a terminal server.
Sure.
And it doesn't seem, I guess if I loaded the software on the terminal server, then it would be working there. But so everything's running
a different device.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever's running locally here, it works in. So
that's really very cool.
Super.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Stop sharing for you guys.
Thanks, Stefan. That was great. Super helpful. I'm gonna check that out for myself. We use something similar in HubSpot as part of our sales process, but it's pretty cool as a kind of day-to-day operational tool. Just man, I know how many emails I send a day, so
that's true.
That'd be great. All right, so and once again, that's a really great example of how these small, tiny automations are really the heart and soul of what we're trying to get across here. Like, it doesn't need to be this gigantic Rube Goldberg breakfast making machine. It really needs to be. It can be really tiny, small things and iterative improvements, and small percentages per day. But if you think about it over the course of a year or 2 years, it's a massive shift in how you operate, and also consistency, which is we all know is a really critical component of, I think, many people's success. So today, just to kind of our deeper dive today is going to be around using some of the apps found in Office 365. So Matt, I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of show us how to make a suggestion box with Microsoft Forms. So take it away.
That sounds great, George. Thank you. But beforehand, I just want to say that the Goldberg breakfast machine is perfect as an example, because our suggestion box is going to be my formal request for very specific cereals to be in the office. Thank you, Stefan. So the circle has begun. That's perfect. I've been working in offices doing IT for about 20 years now, since 2000. And when I was putting this whole thing together, I was thinking about what manual tasks took place 20 years ago that we can automate today, and there's plenty of them. But more than anything, I just started having memories of what it was like, starting out back then. And there were certain things that I think came to mind. The first one was like the old school Greek coffee cups that
Yes.
you would see everywhere. I remember that before the Starbucks near my office opened up. Office entrances have become a bit automated these days. When I was 18, 19, I had 4 keys on my keychain to open up the front office where I was working. And, you take your car keys, your house keys, and all of a sudden you've got like that huge janitor kind of loop of keys, right? And nowadays, a lot of that has been decreased down to a key fob or something like a card you can fit in your wallet, or even some people have those RFID rings, they just kind of like go like this across the door and they can open it up. So I guess what I'm saying is, with time, things improve, they change, they become a little bit more efficient, they become more convenient. And one of the things that has driven me nuts over the years, because I don't think I've ever seen one actively used in the way it's meant to be, are suggestion boxes. They're archaic. They're these old tin boxes with like the broken lock, like we see here in the office. I mean, it looks like something I made in 8th grade as a birdhouse.
Right.
It's time to move away from those kinds of things. And what we're going to do now is demonstrate how to create a very basic suggestion box using tools found within the Microsoft 365 platform. Today, we're going to be using, I did a recorded video for this yesterday. I feel like deja vu. That's going to be later as well. But we're going to use Microsoft Forms to create the form. We're going to use Microsoft Power Automate to create an automation. And that automation is going to go ahead and send a notification directly to a channel in Teams. And the beauty of that, and this is going to especially mean something to anyone that's seen that the episode of The Office with the suggestion box, is that there is no wondering whether or not a suggestion has been put in front of someone that has the ability to take action on it. It's not a situation where you're waiting for someone to go over to the box, unlock it, take a look what's in there, see, okay, well, this suggestion was from 2008, so, oh, well, kind of a situation. That doesn't happen anymore because you know that the individual or individuals who are going to be tasked with addressing any issues that come in through a suggestion box or trying to make situations better as a result are going to be notified over Teams. It's happening actively. It's not this passive box in the corner of an office. And when you think about it, how many of us are in our offices right now? Not that many.
Not many.
Yeah. So what's the point? So having an archaic box in the corner of an office where there's no one in it, what's it doing? It's not doing a thing. So let's make something that will work. All right, now that I've run out of breath, let's screen sharing. All right, so here we are, Microsoft Forms. I believe anyone that has even the most basic Office 365 subscription does have access to this tool, correct, George?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's included just about even in some of the most in like the E1s, like the lowest level subscriptions.
It's on the level with Word and all that stuff. That's what
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead. We're going to click on New Form to create our new form, and as soon as this window loads, we'll see that we've got our basic form here already. It's untitled. Let's call it the serial suggestion box. I'm trying to send some messages to you guys today on this. Gee. All right, we're going to add, that's going to allow us to create a text field where the suggestion can be placed. I've got some ideas that I'm going to elaborate on in a later video that's going to be available to everyone, but for now, we're just going to do the one text box. We're going to require it because we don't want anyone sending in blank suggestions. That's who wants to open up a box and see a bunch of blank index. Makes no sense. Right. And we're going to go ahead and select the long answer option because that's going to make sure that the form's text box is going to be multi-line. You see a multi-line box, you're expecting someone to put some text in there. If you see a single line box, you're going to put a few words in. That's what it's meant for, right? So we want to make sure that the interface makes sense for what we're going to do. All right. Believe it or not, we're done. That was the form. We're going to click preview. Here's our serial suggestion box. Here's our area to put our answer. That's our suggestion rather. That's all there is to it on the form creation side. Now, when you're ready to share this, all you need to do is click the share button and you have your options. You can share it as a link. You can have it emailed to people. You can embed it on a web page. Like say, if you've got SharePoint, you can embed this form in SharePoint. So you've got your employee portal and you've got your suggestion box specifically for serials, mind you, in here. It's super easy to work with. Now that we've got this, let's do the quick automation in Power Automate to make sure that we can notify a channel in Teams. Again, super easy. And I love seeing this every time I go into Power Automate. Take care of what's important, automate the rest. That sums everything up so well. If there's something you don't have to take care of manually and you can let a machine do it, do it. That way you can dedicate your time to more important activities that are going to help protect your business, grow your business, help you reach the goals that you're striving to reach. That's this entire stream in 2 sentences right there.
Right.
But of course, if we didn't have a demo, we wouldn't have a stream, and that would be a really strange thing to do. So let's just go ahead and make a flow. I'm going to go here. And you can see I already have a couple of flows. We've actually been using flow here in the company for at least a year now, which is time's gone by very quickly. Go here. We're going to click on new flow. You'll see that you've got a bunch of options, including templates. And anyone that's watching this right now that's interested in using Power Automate, check out the templates. There's a ton in there. And when you look at it, it's going to spark ideas. I kind of had that moment of like hyperactivity the other day when I was looking through some of the most up-to-date ones, thinking of all the cool things we can do. But this is instructional, so what we're going to do is everything from scratch. We're going to do an automated cloud flow. And an automated cloud flow is one that is executed when certain conditions are met. And that's what we're going to define now. So first, let's name it serial box. Just name it that for now. Our flow's trigger is going to be when a response is submitted. Now, if you look at this list, you have a lot of different triggers to work with. And honestly, sitting here and just looking at that list will get ideas going for you. What can I make easier? What do I not have to think about in the day that's happening on this list that I can automate? All right, so let's go ahead and click create. We now have our basis for our flow. We're going to go ahead and select the form that we're going to use for it. That's honestly the most complex part here. Serial suggestion box. Aside from pushing my serial agenda, I did name it that to make it much easier to find in the demo.
Right at the top.
And we're going to create a new step. This step's a little strange until you start building flows, and then it makes sense. What we want to do now is retrieve the details from that form. If we don't have the details, we can't do anything with it. So what I'm going to do is type in forms in this list just to narrow down my options. Because again, just like the previous list we looked at, there are dozens and dozens of possible actions that can take place. In this case, we want to get the response details. So now you can see we've got another box here. We've got to fill in 2 things. First, we have to do the form ID, which is, in this case, the same exact form. And we have to come up with the response ID. Now, the first time you look at this, you're thinking, response ID, where am I going to get that from? This doesn't make sense. I don't know where to go from here. If you click on the text box, you get a contextual menu, and your response ID is right here. I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes this tool can be a little complex. Click around, you're going to find your answers very, very quickly. Don't be afraid to discover and look around. The flow has not been saved, nor has it been activated, so you can't do anything bad here. If you make a mistake with your flow, you're going to know long before you're going to execute it. So look around, don't be nervous.
Right.
Now, here's the step everyone's been waiting for. Unfortunately, we don't have a drum roll sound in the stream right now. But we're going to go ahead with Teams. We're going to do that search again to narrow the options down, because there are many of them here. The one that we're going to choose is to post a message as the Flowbot to a channel. And the reason we're choosing this one that uses the Flowbot is that we're building an automation. And it's an automation where a human doesn't need to be involved. So why would we attach this to a human? When this form is submitted, no one has to see a message coming from me letting them know that someone else has submitted the form. Take names out of it. Names are not relevant here. So we're going to post the message as the Flowbot. All right, we have to select our team ID. In this case, we're going to use the sales and marketing team. So we're going to go right here and click this. We do have 2 sales and marketing teams. There's the old school and the new school. Then we're going to choose our channel. And in this case, we're simply going to go with general for demonstration purposes. Now we get to set up our message. And in this case, it's going to be the label of the text field that we put in before. Now, I didn't change the label, so it says question. In a real scenario, you might want to change that to suggestion or whatever you want. But for now, question's all we need. And then we're going to create a headline. And in this case, for the sake of demonstration, we're going to put new suggestion. And we're going to include the email address of the person who made the submission. All right, we're going to click save. And now we're going to do a quick test. And the test is super simple. All you need to do is click on test right here. And given that this is the first time we're going to test this flow, we're going to do it manually. And it's kind of fun to watch. There's like a bit of a waterfall of success, hopefully. We'll see what happens. Okay, we're ready to go test. We're going to go back to the suggestion box. Someone give me a delicious cereal to put in here, please.
Peanut butter Captain Crunch. Sorry, Marianne, I jumped the gun there. I know you like that one too.
Yeah.
I know.
If anyone's watching, throw it in the comments. We'll put it in.
Let's see, what else do we? I want Kix. I haven't had Kix cereal in a long time. We're going to click submit, and I'm going to quickly move over to the tab, and hopefully we'll see this being tested. Submit. There we go. We can see it. Flow is running. We're getting green across the board so far. It's about to post a message to Teams. We have green. Everything ran successfully. Now, Marianne, if you can share the Teams window that you have,
Add it.
we'll show everyone that right there. Peanut butter crunch, please. Some Kix. And it'll show that I used Power Automate to send this notification.
That's awesome.
Simple as that. Now, how great is it to know that my suggestion for peanut butter crunch isn't sitting in the wooden suggestion box that's in a corner of an office somewhere, where it's a time capsule. It's going to be like 2350, and someone's going to be wearing like laser clothing, being like, "What's peanut butter crunch? Who's this captain? He must be an important historical figure." And all of a sudden, a few hundred years from now, Captain Crunch has got his memorial in DC or something like that. You don't need that.
He's been promoted to admiral. Just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Power Automate will prevent those future mistakes from happening, and that's why it's so important to use. So yeah, I mean that's basically the idea behind.
Right. That was really great, Matt. That was a super fun and useful. I mean, as I'm sitting here, we had we do a bunch of internal surveys and stuff internally at Valiant, and for me, like I was like, man, this is so many useful things. Like taking a suggestion, like one of our we had internal roundtables yesterday, and one of the things was find a way to suggest top issues at each client, or things that are persnickety issues and problems, where we could just kind of cultivate that or collect it in a way that's not like in a kind of a formal way, but just kind of start building these data sets. And what a useful way of doing it, and notifying people that, hey, so-and-so put a suggestion, Marianne put a suggestion in, and Megan put a suggestion in. And I mean, that's a super useful way of doing it. And I think it's great.
It's incredibly useful, and there's going to be more on the way. I recorded everything that we just did yesterday separately, and we're going to put that up on our website. And then I'm going to take it a step further by having the submission of the form added to a Microsoft Planner board, which we demoed 2 weeks ago. That way you can have your suggestions in a bucket, and then suggestions that are being discussed in another bucket, suggestions that are being executed on in another bucket. And you can keep track of where the suggestions are going, what kind of benefits they're netting for a company, who's going to be responsible for implementing them. There's going to be a whole lot more in that second kind of part of that video.
Yeah.
And things get really, really
super cool. Super cool. So I know, and somebody that I know, Marianne, you said you were just looking at some of the stuff you put down here, YouTube posts, like notifications.
Yeah. Mostly, and that's still internal. There's obviously other ways that you can access, if you're interested, you can access our YouTube page. But yes, internally, I want our staff to know when I'm putting up helpful articles, because if they get the question asked, it's a simple solution. You could watch a 1-minute video I created. I already did the work. So
correct. So it's great stuff. And just some of the other stuff we use HubSpot quite a bit. So there's a lot of information in there, a lot of automation in that. That's the whole purpose of that tool. So really cool stuff. And once again, these are all looking for these small but powerful assistances to the day-to-day that make things consistent, better for both you and the customer, and you can just deliver a better service and product for everyone. And so it was great. Last week we started with the concepts of this. This week we had a real meat and potatoes, nuts and bolts example of how it works. And I think it's great. So besides that, I think that's a lot of information for one day. So it's great, and we're getting ready for next week. And before I say give us next week, please check us out on LinkedIn, check us out on YouTube, our website. We have a ton of information. Twitter, we post daily, not daily, but a lot. Maybe it's a better way of putting it. And our next stream is really one that kind of takes that BPA, business process automation, and makes it into something that is really truly actionable. And that's combining some of your BPA work, your automation work, with key performance indicators and KPIs, and how two of them are really complementary ways to run your business or operate your just anything.
It's peanut butter crunch and whole milk.
Whole milk, exactly. It's delicious.
None of that. Anyway.
So with that, I'm going to say thanks, everyone, and thank you, Matt and Stefan. Super awesome today for jumping on with us with that TextExpander.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We really appreciate it. And I hope to see you all next week. Have a great week, and talk to you soon. All right. Bye now.
Bye.